Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. How y'all doing? I am super late. I know I haven't done a live yet, but we're only 3 days in April. But I wanted to do a live because we did not host Strategy Tuesday yesterday. But I want to come on and give you some type of strategic plan for Q2. So as you come on, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me clearly. We won't be on here long, I promise. Um, I promise we won't be on here long today. But I'm super excited for us to be in Q1. If you don't know, I am Dr. Briana Whiteside. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Briana Whiteside. I am an English professor throughout the end of this quarter, and I am a kingdom builder, entrepreneur, all the things. If you're not following me on social media, you should be following me on Instagram. We have a good time over there. But as you come on, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. I want to tell you something, and I want to also give you strategy. I'm going to give you the strategy that I use actually to unlock another dimension of wealth just recently. So I'm super, super, super excited to be with you all. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to come on. Hey, Portia, am I saying your name correctly? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to April. Welcome to Q2. Can you all like the video if you haven't already? Like the video. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me. Go ahead and like the video. Let me know. Not let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. And we're gonna hop right on into this thing. Y'all, I am really excited about this quarter. I really feel like this is the quarter that a lot of things are gonna begin to shift in a lot of believers' lives. And I think that, God is really like, I know that when I did what I heard God say back in September when we entered into our new year per the Jewish calendar, I kind of taught a message on open gates. And I really feel like we are stepping through these gates that I actually saw and kind of sensed that God was opening back in September. And so I think this is going to be a supernatural quarter for a great many people. And this is not me saying this like to hype you up, because that's not my type of thing. But I do think that if you've been faithful and if you've been, progressing and you've been doing everything that God asked you to do, then this is going to be a great quarter for you. This is going to probably be the ROI quarter for you. And so I just think that, we should just remain faithful. I know a lot of us feel like giving up the ghost. Trust me, y'all. I also feel like giving up the ghost sometimes and giving up and stopping the progress, right? But it's generally when you're this close, see this, you this close that people stop, and you didn't do all of this work to just give up and go home empty handed. And so I know what it feels like to be tired. I know what it feels like to be frustrated, to feel like, God, when is it finally my turn? Trust me. And to keep sacrificing. I know how all that feels. But I don't want you to give up prematurely. If you feel like giving up, maybe you should take a break. Maybe you should take a nap. Maybe you should call your friends or your circle to encourage you, and, and feel how you feel, right? Feel how you feel. But I don't want you to give up when you're right at the cusp of the thing that you've been working for, the thing that you've sacrificed for, the thing that is rightfully yours. And I think that is the biggest trick of the enemy, because he tries to use that trick on me often. And sometimes he is close to winning. And then I realize and I wake up, Briana, you have given up so much to get to this moment. And it would be a shame if you turned around and never got what you sacrificed for. So if you've already sacrificed and you've already done the things, don't give up. Don't die at the door. You know what I'm saying? Do not die at the door. So that's for somebody. That was not for me. I didn't plan to say this. This is not even what I'm talking about, but that is for somebody on here. Do not die at the door. You're going to have to cross over the threshold. And I believe you're going to be able to do that this quarter. All right, let me see where y'all watching from. Houston, Texas, Barbados. Hey, hey from Brooklyn, hey, California. Yeah, don't die in the middle, and don't die at the door. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that's not what I'm talking about. So this is what I'm talking about today. Y'all, I unlocked another stream of income, and I really wasn't trying to. It kind of found me. And so I want to kind of talk y'all through that process, but also tell y'all the strategy that I've been using to step into more, right? I think that if we have strategic, we can advance quickly, as opposed to if we're just out here trying anything and throwing caution to the wind and just throwing ourselves at different things. You need to be strategic about what you're doing, especially right now. I don't want you to exert energy on things that you're just not supposed to be doing right now. And there is a season for for things to hit. You just have to know what season that you're in. And so, quick announcement before I hop into this. I released a confidence kit this month. You can find it at brianawhiteside.com. And so if you're struggling with confidence, and generally people struggle with confidence, and because you don't do what God tells you to do, you don't obey, right? If you're struggling with confidence, I want you to grab the bundle. It is pinned right here in the chat, and it's also available on my site. I know what it's like to struggle with confidence and not believe in yourself. I know what it's like to not just have the strength to do what you need to do. Trust me, I used to be that person. But I walk you through the process, and I kind of hold your hand and give you things to think about. And so I want you to grab that this month if you are struggling, or if you know someone who is struggling, because sometimes it's not that we don't believe in God or we don't believe God, is that we don't believe in ourselves. And everything we say we're believing God to do for us, we're generally impeded with our inability to obey. So let's not do that in quarter 2. Let's purpose to not get in our own way, to not cheat ourselves out of the blessing, because God can do anything but move you when you decide that you're not going to move. You know what I'm saying? Some of us can be so stubborn and act like we will not be moved, and you're not moved, and you then therefore you forfeit the blessing and you have a hard life. This is not what we're doing in 2024. We're standing on Bible. All right, so let me tell y'all. So a few of you all are here because you may have followed me on the podcast and you heard me talk about how I secured the bag and all the things that I did. And, I always want to start with those stories to let you know that, like, I am one from among you. I'm not someone who came from wealth. Everything I teach and talk about are things that I've had to learn. And I think the beautiful thing about me telling you all everything is that you get to shorten your time. And by shortening your time, I mean, you don't have to take the 4 or 5 years that I took to climb my way out, because I'm giving you the strategies. And that is what it means to pour back into people. You can shorten your time by using some of the strategies that I tell you that I use, right? So take what you need, and the ones that don't apply to you is totally fine. But I want to let you know that securing your money is possible. Living an abundant life is possible. All of these things were promised by Christ to you after salvation. It isn't a rightful inheritance of the kingdom. And I believe that you are a kingdom believer and a kingdom citizen. And so it's time for you to take your inheritance, which was prepared for you before the foundations of the world. That's what your Bible says. And so I've actually taught you all these things sporadically, but I want to make them more succinct. And it's really 3 things that I've been doing consistently. And by consistently, I mean since we clocked into 2024, that I want to share. So if you've been following, number one, if you've been following the kingdom teaching, you know that one of the recent teachings that I did was on the marine kingdom. Who saw that, right? Let me know in the chat if you actually watched that teaching, because securing money is not just a physical thing, it's largely a spiritual practice as well. And so you have to work 2 realms at the same time. But in this teaching, we came from Matthew 17:24-27, and we walked through Jesus telling Peter to go get this money out of the mouth of the fish. And I told you all that what led me to that passage was me being frustrated that I felt like my finances were being cut off. I felt like, I wasn't making the money that I should be making. And so when that story or that parable came to mind, I thought, it's just a cute parable that you're taught in Sunday school. But upon study with the lens of the kingdom, I actually learned that this is not just a cute story. This is a principle where Jesus is a king talking to Peter about the kings of the world and what their practices are. And then telling Peter to go into this kingdom, the marine kingdom, and get the money that you need that is in the mouth of this fish. And one of the words that Jesus used was, when this fish arises, the word for arise means to come out of a system. And so what system was this fish rising from? It was rising from this water system. And we do know that there are a lot of these, if you're following like New Age, spiritualism, shamans, things of that nature, they do a lot of water rituals, do a lot of water baths for wealth and prosperity. And it's not by happenstance that they are doing these things and are getting these things, because this kingdom kind of controls certain money systems. That is not what we do as believers. We do not take baths in the water and do these rituals. We stand on kingdom principles, and principles always work no matter who works them. So their ritualistic, the non-Christian folks, their ritualistic practice is actually showing you that this stuff does work, but the power that they're getting it from is from another power. And it is a problematic because they're going to pay for that. Okay. They ain't just giving these folks this stuff for no reason. But our price for, or our payment for getting access to it is to be born again. That's really what you need to do. And so when we walk through that teaching, I literally showed you that Jesus is a king talking to Peter about kingdom things and then telling him, therefore, go practice what I just taught you and go get this money out of the mouth of the fish. We also know that a part of the kingdom principles that Jesus says is, I've given you the whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven, whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. And that is a principle of the kingdom, binding and loosing using your mouth. One thing that I've learned and I've tried to teach you over time is that it's hell is masterful at keeping believers silent. And it is not the silence of praying to God. It is the silence of actually legislating, using your words to legislate. You have kingdom authority. You are born again. You're supposed to have dominion. This is why Christ died for you, to restore your kingdom dominion. But when we refuse to use our words to bind and loose, to allow or disallow, to invoke or revoke, that is why we start to be behind. It's not just the works of your hands, but it is the word of your mouth. Sound is powerful. You can break something with sound if it's at the right pitch. And so what I started and what I've been teaching you all, even if you've been following me through the Let There Be challenge, was that you're going to have to use your mouth, right? You're going to have to speak it. And we understand that we're able to do this because God modeled it. It says I think the Bible says, through faith, we understand that God created the worlds, plural, by the word, right? And so if he's given us that same authority and same dominion in the earth, then it would behoove us to use that, not just to pray to him, but to legislate, because he is the what? King of kings and the Lord of lords. We are the kings and the lords in the earth. That is your rightful inheritance as a co-heir, a joint heir with Christ. Anyway, so I wanted you to go back. I talk about this teaching because it was one of the foundational things that I began to do this year. And so when I taught on that parable, and I already told you that I practiced it before I taught you and to see if it worked. And it's continuing to work. Like, I'm not letting up on the matter. So the first thing I did was had to call the money forth out of this kingdom. It's illegal. They should not be doing this. They should not be running it. But a lot of us as believers, we've abdicated the power to this realm. And we just have to call it back. It's not that Christ doesn't want you to have certain things. And it's not that he hasn't even given it to you. It is that some demonic force is withholding it from you, and you need to legislate and call your things forth. That's strategy number one. And don't let up on the matter. Do not let up on the matter. Okay. The second thing that I did, and I continue to do, and I'm a big proponent of this, is giving to the poor. And this is when okay, let me tell you what happened. So I have a friend who has a family member in need. And, I really care about this friend and his family. And so I was talking to him and he was telling me something that was going on. And I said, okay, I'm going to commit to giving X amount every month. And it's not a large amount at all, but I said out of my mouth, I'm going to commit to this thing. And it's not major. It won't rock me. It was not even a big thing. But when I said it, and I hadn't even given it yet, but as soon as I said, I will do this thing to help alleviate this pain, the new stream showed up, the new stream of money. And so I don't want you all to think is giving to the poor is relegated to money. I know that becomes very taboo, but it's not. And I want to stand on Bible here and walk you through poor. Who are the poor? So that you may say, Briana, I am poor. I don't have any money. That's totally fine. It's not just financial. It's not just monetary. You have something to give to help someone else. And so if you look up the poor, who the poor are, in the Greek, because that is where we start to see kingdom principles crop up, because this is what Jesus is preaching about, and this is how the economy runs in the kingdom. It's anyone who is begging, right? So somebody who needs money or asking for alms. But alms are donating your time, your money, your services, or other resources. So you may say, Bree, I don't have any money. Okay, do you have time to help somebody out? A single mother, a widow, or orphan, somebody? Do you have resources that you can help someone with? Like maybe connect this person with someone they need to talk to, or maybe give them information. This is a part of giving to the poor. But other definitions of giving to the poor are people who don't have influence, people who don't have positions, people who don't have honor, right? Are you able to help people who don't have influence? You may have influence in a certain realm or with someone else. Are you willing to help someone else gain influence? Are you willing to help them increase their position in some way, whether it is through advice, whether it is, through just talking with them or something of that nature? That is a way of giving to the poor. Another definition is somebody who feels helpless or powerless. I talk to a lot of people who feel helpless or powerless. Are you able to empower them? Are you able to encourage them? Are you able to pour into them? This is part of giving to the poor, but um, the largest definition of giving to the poor is just lacking anything. And we all know someone who is lacking something. I know a lot of people that are lacking things, and I try my best to help fit that need. But this is why giving is so important. I'm not just talking about money, and I'm not talking about giving to me, because I don't ask y'all to do that. I'm talking about giving of yourself. God loves a cheerful giver, right? And this is not just financial. What do you have to give to help ease someone else's pain, help ease someone else's trauma? And I know it's easy to say, but I need someone to ease my pain. I've said it myself. I need someone to ease my pain. I need someone to ease my trauma. Why ain't nobody helping me? All of the things. And I think that that's a fair feeling, right? That is a fair feeling, but it's not a feeling that's going to get you to your desired end. And so when we're dealing with kingdom things and we're dealing with kingdom politics, you have to put your big girl or big guy panties on or drawers on, whatever you wear, and say, I have to move beyond my feelings, because principles always work. If you've never heard me talk extensively about money, you know that I am big on philanthropy, not necessarily big on this principle of tithing. I think that that's a whole nother thing, but on the principle of philanthropy. And so when I first started my search on the kingdom, it was the money question that I had a question about. Why does it seem that believers are behind, but people who are not believers are prospering? Why are they advancing in money and we are not? If we are following what you said, God, I don't understand what's going on here. Well, one, it's the kingdom teaching that I just talked about, the marine kingdom. But two, we don't stand on philanthropy. The principle of philanthropy is universal. You lend to the poor, you give to God. Jesus is always talking about giving to the needy, the poor, all of these things. That is a principle of philanthropy. It is a principle of giving and receiving. So when I think about people who may be millionaires, billionaires, whatever, heirs, and they give to charity, they don't give in this religious sense of how some believers give, like the 10% or whatever. They give generously to charity, those in need. And it doesn't really matter who they are. They're exercising a principle, and principles work for whomever works them. And so when I had to start studying and come out of this religious mindset, and hear me, I'm never saying don't give to your church or nothing, because I give to ministries all the time. I like the work that they do, but I give with the understanding of I am a philanthropist. I am doing philanthropic work. I am giving because I want to see this cause advance. I'm not giving with this religious mindset of I got to get God his 10%. No, sometimes I get more than 10%. Sometimes I get less than 10%. It just depends, but I give, period. You know what I mean? And so when I figured out that it was the principle of philanthropy and it wasn't a religious practice, it was exercising a principle, and principles always work. This world is upheld by principles and laws. We got law of gravity. We have the law of aerodynamics. We have all of these laws that relegate the earth. And when you engage a law or when you engage a principle, it's going to give you a return on what you're engaging it with. And so I am a big proponent of philanthropy. That's number two. And so it doesn't have to just be your money. It can be your time. It could be your resources. It could be anything you have. We all have something that we can give to help our fellow man, right? We need to get into that place to do that thing. And that is how God would make you, like lenders to nations, and the head and not the tail, and above and not beneath, and the lender and not the borrower. Like all those things we like to quote, there are principles that unlock those things, and it's not running around the church. I just had to say that. The third thing that I did, right, and I do stay on this matter, and this is what y'all see me do a lot. You see my public facing of me doing this is partnering with God. And it's easy for people to say, oh, you have to partner with God. And we think that partnering God with God is just, it ends at prayer. And that is erroneous teaching, and it is error, and it is wrong. And this is what keeps people bound and behind. And I'm tired of it. Partnering with God does not stop at you praying and interceding. That is not your only duty. Your duty is to use your gifts to create generational wealth. Your duty is to obey God and do what he tells you to do, so that you will be on time for what he needs you to do in the future. And I gave this example of, me starting to get out of consumer debt in 2019, doing that hard process, walking through it, and really not understanding why I had to start walking through it at that time. But I knew that God was leading me to start doing it at that time. Well, what I know now is I had to start making the sacrifices then, so that I will be on time now for what he needs me to do. And y'all know, if y'all been following me, what he needed me to do is resign from my career. And we are in the quarter of me resigning. June 30th is my last day as an academic. But I wouldn't have been able to do that and step out on faith and leave a career and job security had I not started doing the hard things in 2019. Not perfectly, but I started doing it, and I walked through these years, and now I am on time for what I need to do. And now I don't have some of the burdens that that I may have had I not obeyed. And so I'm telling you this to say, I want to encourage you to obey now, or look back over your life and really ask yourself, did God tell me to start doing something then that would have saved me the panic of now? Because a lot of people are in panic, and it's not that some things do just happen. Sometimes lives. But then there are other times when we just decided we weren't going to obey, and we weren't going to do it, and we didn't want to do it, and we didn't do it, and we forgot about it. And now we're paying the price years later, right? We're paying the price of not obeying years later, and you're going to feel the pain. If you don't listen to it, you're going to feel it. I stand by that. If you don't listen to the warnings, you're going to feel the pain of you not listening to it. And I've had my fair share of feeling the pain of being disobedient. But so many of us are in this season where we're listening to the prophets, and I believe a lot of the prophets, and I believe what they say. But I think that one thing we also have to do is go back to God and ask him, what is the strategy, and be willing to do the strategy. Be willing to start the YouTube channel. Be willing to start the business. It doesn't matter if you don't have the audience right now. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like you have everything that you need to do. It doesn't matter. When God told you to do it, he knew that you didn't have all the things that you felt like you needed. And obviously you didn't need it to start. You don't need it to start. It is pride that keeps us from starting. It is arrogance that causes us to believe that we'll have another day to do it. And I'm a big proponent of helping y'all people understand that your replacement is already ready. Your replacement is already ready. And it's not until you see your replacement surpass you that you're going to be crying, spitting, and farting. And it's unnecessary. Your replacement should never get a chance to be known, ever. God tells you to do something. He gave this idea to you first. He trusted you with it. He gave you these gifts and talents before you even clocked into time. You were downloaded with these treasures, with these things that would unlock. He gave it to you in seed form, but he gave it to you, to unlock certain things in the future in your life. Could it be that you don't have what you're supposed to have because you refuse to obey and actually use your gifts and talents? Could it be that you won't unlock your mind and actually become a believer, right? Not just a Christian, but a believer. We know that in the Bible, they were called believers of the way. So are you a Christian or are you a believer? Because believers move a little bit differently than people who just claim to be under the religious umbrella of Christianity. And so I need you all to understand that it's not that the money, and I know that people are believing for wealth transfers and all the things. I'm with you. It's not that the money isn't there. The Bible says the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. It is that the laborers are few. So many people refuse to do the labor required of receiving the harvest. And it comes from so many ways. It comes from so many areas. It's just not going to be one way, y'all. The money that I am like creating, because I have to create a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? The money that I am creating, the influence, the streams, and all of these things are coming from different avenues. I'm not just like my job. I've never just been my job. Never. And you can't just be your job, because we do know that something is coming upon the earth. We do know that something is coming on the earth. We do know that we cannot adequately prepare because we don't fully know, but we should be preparing for something. And we have to also, with that being said, prepare that some things will fail. And what if it's God's mercy and his love and his kindness for you to be telling you right now, hey, I'm trying to get you prepared and winged off a specific system because this system may fail. So I'm trying to get you prepared beforehand so that you won't have to deal with the backlash of not being prepared. And I just really feel that that's, so important. That is where we really drop the ball. We don't partner. We say we do, we go to church, we do the things that won't require us like a lot of sweat equity, but it is the sweat equity that will help you to propel forward. And so I wanted to just share those three things that I do. They're practical things. They're practical things. They're not super mystical. They have been proven in my own life. And because I want everyone to advance this year, and I don't want anyone to be behind or anyone to lack in any way, I'm going to share with you as I learn it. And so we're all in this together. We're all learning this together. And so I want you all to understand that, the life you want is on the other side of the decisions that you won't make. The sacrifices that you won't make, and your sacrifices may not look like my sacrifices. Heck, I wish sometimes my sacrifices don't look like my sacrifices, but they won't look like my sacrifices. But we all have to sacrifice something. And I don't know what it is that God may be asking you to sacrifice. That's between you and him, not me. But you need to go ahead and pay the price of what that thing is, and pay it quickly, because we don't have a lot of time. And you don't have a lot of time in your own life. You don't have as much time as you think you have to be, playing around and kikiing out here. It's just really just not the season or the quarter. And I don't want you to miss your opportune time because you're not at the place where you're supposed to be, because you've decided not to be at that place. And by decided, I mean that you've decided not to obey God and move forward into the things that he's been urging you and nudging you and encouraging you to do. God is a God of mercy, and in his mercy, he will forewarn us, and he will start to get us prepared before things happen. But it is us, our hard-headedness, our own humanness in a lot of ways that hinders that preparedness and hinders that plan, and therefore we are behind. That's not what I want you all to do. So these are the three things that I've been doing, and I've been staying on the matter every day. Don't let up. It does not matter. We know that your words have the opportunity and the ability to create worlds, but we also know that a key to the kingdom of heaven is binding and loosing. So that's number one. Number two is giving to the poor, which is ultimately philanthropy. Decide to be a generous giver under the umbrella and the principle of philanthropy. Whatever that may mean for you is just not money. You need to go ahead and do that. And number three, I want you to partner with God and use your gifts, because your money, your wealth is tied up in those gifts and talents that you just sit around and not use. And you see people using it every day in advance, and it's a free market out here. You're watching me, that's me using my gifts. You may watch gossip, people, whatever you're doing, they're using, they may not be using their gifts, but they may be using talents, but they're using themselves, right, to make money. And I'm not telling you to go out and do that, but you can actually do something, because God gave each of us gifts and talents. They may look different, but He's given us each of us gifts and talents to help make us more marketable in what the church folks say, the marketplace. And I want you to go ahead and do that and stand on those things in Q2 and watch it change. But yeah, so I said we weren't gonna be here long. We've been on here 30 minutes, but I wanted to share those three things and give you a strategy, or my strategies for how I've been doing it. Find someone to be generous to this quarter in some way. Go ahead and use your mouth to call in your stuff, okay? Because they should not have it. It's illegal. And number three, decide to bet on yourself and partner with God and actually use the gifts and do the things He's told you to do. It's just not enough to say, God's going to come through for me, because He's probably been trying to come through for you, but you've been closing the door because you have not done something. All right, y'all. So that's all I have. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. I will see y'all soon. And I hope that you just stand on Bible this quarter. It's very important to stand on Bible. So a lot of things are being released, and I need us to keep our eyes open for what is being released from heaven, and also, from the ops. But I'll talk to y'all soon. Happy Wednesday. Bye.